faces with the.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have Sherrie Banerjee with us, and she is the mother of Rishi Jena. Ms. Banerjee started RPM with her son Rishi when he was 12 years old and has been adopting RPM in their daily life for the last 8 years. She has held corporate management IT positions at AT&T and Facebook, and while she continued to homeschool her son in RPM techniques, she taught him from the grade 4 till 12th grade and enrolled him in online high school in 2018. She also advocated in public school for upgrading Rishi to general education and was successful in securing a letterboard trial and general education for him in public schools. Ms. Banerjee pioneered psychological testing and IQ testing with the letterboard in Atlanta to show students who were deemed to be cognitively impaired by the school system in a different light. Currently, she's supporting Rishi with his college classes as a communication partner. Ms. Banerjee received her level 1 RPM certification from SOMA in 2022. And here's about Rishi. So Rishi graduated from high school with highest honors in 2023 and has finished his freshman year at Arizona State University with a 4.0 GPA. He's majoring in counseling and hopes to counsel autistic teens and adults for optimum wellness and mental health. Rishi also graduated from Bal Vihar by Chinmaya Mission in 2023 and is the only non-speaking student ever to graduate from Bal Vihar, Atlanta. Rishi enjoys hiking, swimming, track events, social gatherings, writing original poetry and essays. He has won many writing competitions at the state level and through Chinmaya Mission. His essay was published in a book in 2019 called Leaders Around Me. He has a strong spiritual streak and is currently reading the classic Autobiography of a Yogi. So Rishi's website is www.omhealing.com, where he's offering practice counseling sessions to the autistic community as his schedule allows. So thank you, Sherrie, for being with us today. We are very eager to hear from you. Please take it over. Thank you.
Thanks everybody. I'm so honored to be here, and thanks Bindu for spending so much effort, and Sri Rupa as well for putting this together. So I really appreciate it. I don't know any of you, so I would really like to get to know you a little bit better too. So if you can please put in your chat like your name and which city you're from, and how old is your son or daughter, and if you're doing RPM currently, how long, just any details that would be helpful. That would be very helpful for me as I start, so I know where everybody is in the journey. So if you can put that in chat, then we'll just read through that. Is that okay, Bindu? Just have like a few minutes for people to put that,
Yes,
and then I
yes,
can
sure.
start
Yeah.
the presentation. Okay.
And if someone is yet to start, they can say they're beginners if you're yet to start RPM with your child.
Yeah. So, and is there anybody here? Let's see. Is there anybody here from Srishti village? Any of the teachers that were going to join?
Hi, Sherry. This is Smita. I'm from Richmond. We met at Soma conference. I work with my son, and I'm a provider too.
Okay. Hi, Smita. Yeah, of course, I remember meeting you in New York.
Yeah. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, definitely. It's my pleasure. So yeah, I'm seeing Emilia in Delhi. Her son is 5 and yet to start. Preetham from Mumbai, now okay, so almost 7 years. Sadaf is from Kolkata, 14-year-old, still to start. Sunita is 20 years old. I started RPM in, okay, 2023, okay. Sri Rupa, son is 13 years, doing RPM for 2 years. Okay, Shruti from Fort Mill, South Carolina, 13 years boy, beginner. Then we have Betsy, 7 years old, haven't started. Okay, Bhagyashri has been doing RPM for 3 years. Sunita, is doing the certificate one. Okay. Sorry, I just lost the train. Then I have Nidhi, daughter is 7.5, started RPM in Manila. Okay, Gayatri is from Trivandrum, Kerala, and she did the 4-day workshop with Soma, but kind of new to RPM. And Bindu from Bangalore doing RPM since 2023. Son is 8 years old. Okay. So we have kind of a lot of mix of people here. Devjani says her daughter is 24, started RPM recently, I'm guessing.
पिया नहीं थे तुम कॉफी तुम लोग तो पी पा के भाग गए थे
I think somebody needs to go on mute. Okay, Bharati, her son is 24, unreliable, verbally doing RPM on and off, only in a focused way in the past year. Okay. Okay, are there any other, here is any, Madhavi, have you joined? Shubhasri from Bangalore, 7-year-old non-speaking, no knowledge of RPM. Okay. Okay, so Madhavi is here. Madhavi is also a level 3 provider who works with Rishi in Atlanta. So she's also joined. Virat is 12 from Atlanta. Okay. Doing RPM for 4 years. Okay. Monideepa from Calcutta, 16 years old, not started yet. Okay. So Bindu, should we get started then? I think we've got a mix. I kind of got an idea of where people are. So I can share the presentation and we can get started. What I want it to be very interactive. So at any point after every slide, please ask your questions. So this is kind of like a conversation we are all having. This is not like a presentation that I'm talking and you're just listening. So just please make it very interactive.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So first thing I wanted to mention is that you have to brace yourself. This is a lifelong learning marathon. So this is not a sprint that you'll finish in like a few years or, a couple of years. So definitely pace yourself out and don't get burnt out in this journey because it is very easy to get burnt out and trying to do too much too soon. So I just wanted to give a little timeline of how RPM went with us. So we started RPM when Rishi was 12 years old, and it actually, I was very aggressive.
I want to put this in
at
the
the time.
slideshow mode so that it's a little bigger.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. Okay, is that better?
Yes, yes. Thank
Okay.
you.
Sure. So Rishi started at 12 years age, and he was doing open communication after 3 months. As soon as he started open communication, and I felt comfortable getting trained by some of the practitioners here in Atlanta, watching Soma, watching others. I started working with him like from day one. Started homeschooling him as soon as the open communication started, a little bit, not a lot. He started writing a blog in about a year after starting RPM. We upgraded him to general education curriculum in public school in a year. There was a lot of fighting. I had to hire a lawyer and go through an extensive process to do that. And I can go through the details, but if anybody, has interest in that. But that happened within a year. Then I enrolled him in online high school about 3 years after start, so he can start earning credits. Also enrolled him in Balvihar at the same time so that he can be with the typical peers and also have like a rich peer group where he feels like, he's valued and he's equal to other typical peers. He also started writing poetry about 3 years after starting. And based on Soma's recommendations, we also started intensive speech about 2 years after start because she said that Rishi was an anxious kid and his visual attention was not extremely good. So she said that speech would really help him. So we started extensive speech, and he started answering academic questions using speech in the school system, and started weaning away from the letter board, like I think in middle school, beginning of high school. And of course, as Bindu said, he graduated from high school last year, and he's currently a sophomore in college. So just wanted to ask, does anybody have any questions about the timeline of achievements? And just to summarize, things changed very drastically for him. After he started RPM, within 3 months to a year, his life was completely transformed. So anybody has any questions on the timeline or, and obviously it is going to look very different for each student. It's going to be very different. This is not a comparison, but just wanted to give an idea that things can change, very fast in a child's life, especially if you really advocate for your child. It's not going to take a super long time after you start RPM.
So,
Sherrie,
ma'am,
Yeah, go
should
ahead.
I interrupt? Should I interrupt? Yeah.
No,
Hello,
please go ahead. Go ahead with your questions. And
ma'am.
if yeah.
Okay. Ma'am, I wanted to know what kind of curriculum you started for the RPM initially. Is it the twice a week program for the classes, or where you attended these classes?
Yeah, so what curriculum I used was I started him from fourth grade. That time he was at fifth grade in school, but he was barely doing anything. Like he was just like counting numbers 1 to 10, and he was like doing like basic stuff, like doing words and the kindergarten level stuff. So I just bought that book that says what your fourth grader needs to know. That's like an extensive book you can buy on Amazon, and that has all subjects for fourth grade. So I just started reading those and asking him questions from that book, and I saw that he almost knew most of it, and he finished that in 6 months. And then I went to the fifth grade book. So I just bought like a lot of different books that were like age appropriate for him, and started like teaching, like just reading and asking questions, and I realized that he almost knew a lot of it already. So, and I just tried to fill in the gaps in what he didn't know.
So, ma'am, you attended under the guidance of teacher these sessions?
Initially, when he started, there was a practitioner in Atlanta who was working with him. So I just observed some of those sessions to get coaching on how to start. But also when he had any, like, we went to a camp with Soma in Austin, so I observed her. So it was just basically by observation, watching videos, and just trial and error, just working with him every day and figuring out, how to hold the letterboard, how to position it, what would be, what really works for him. And he started off very small, like maybe 10 minutes a day based on his tolerance level, and a lot of prompting initially. So lots and lots of prompting. So any
Okay,
other?
thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, sure. Any other questions?
question
Yeah.
which came in the Google Doc. It asked, what was the starting point of your RPM journey? So what motivated you to start with RPM?
So there was a workshop in Atlanta where one of Soma's practitioners were here, and she did like a weekend workshop to explain RPM and how RPM works, and why it's important. And there were also some demonstrations with a few students, and that really inspired me when I saw a couple of students working and how they were responding. And so I got extremely inspired by that, and then I went back home and started reading and researching, and tried to look for providers or any resources that I have in Atlanta to get started like right away.
Thank you, Sherrie.
Anything? Let me move on to the next slide then.
Just one question. This is Monideepa. When you'd written intensive speech, what do you mean by that actually?
So intensive speech means like we actually, like I said, I had hired a lawyer. So we were managed to get 5 days of speech in public school. So basically every day he would get 30 minutes of speech from a speech therapist in public school. So that helped a lot because typically they don't offer more than 3 days a week. So he got like more intense speech. And then working at home also, like, just constantly like trying to encourage him to talk more and more. And then I think this slide will talk a little bit more about it, but Soma has a technique called letter tennis or word tennis, where initially he started out with just like doing one letter at a time. Like she will say, let's spell out a word like seminar, and she will say, my letter is S, what is your letter? So he'll say E. He'll try to say E because that time his speech was so poor he could barely even make the sounds. Then she would say M, he will say I, and this is how it would go. So it's like letter by letter. So we did some online sessions with Soma and daily speech at school and at home, just pushing him. And he was also very motivated to talk. So all together, I think it all came together for him to really start speaking. And just wanted to mention, before RPM started, he was completely nonverbal. He barely said like 5 or 6 words at best. And that also like couldn't be understood. Very, very unclear. And he had severe apraxia.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. So this is a slide I made. I call it RPM integration. Just like we have sensory integration, I just call it RPM integration. And just wanted to kind of, make everybody understand that this is a way of life. It's not just a letterboard. There's a lot of aspects to RPM. So we have writing, we have speaking, we have typing, pointing, we have self-care, we have daily living skills, we have academics. There's identifying of emotions, how you're feeling, regulating your body, mind and soul. So this is kind of encompasses everything. The same motor planning concepts that we use in RPM are pretty much applied to every aspect of life from morning till night. And I'm happy to elaborate on any of these topics. There's a lot here, so I'm not sure what is going to be appropriate for everybody and what questions you have. But so feel free if you want me to talk about any specific topic, I'll expand on that.
I would, how did you teach emotions? Because that's something that I have been struggling with, Palach. It's like everything is happy for him. Even if he's sad, crying, he would say he's happy. So that is
Yeah.
something,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if you could
Yeah.
just elaborate a little
Right.
more.
Yeah, emotions. I worked with the ABA therapist, and she came up with some nice visuals. Like there's a visual called the emotions wheel, which at the first level it identifies like the very basic emotions like sad, angry, happy, excited, and few others. And then within like each emotion, then there's more breakdown. So there's like emotions wheel, and we kind of went through different scenarios and taught him to point to the emotions wheel, like at the first level first, and then slowly like kind of be able to drill down into the emotions and say, okay, are you okay, you're tired today. What kind of tired are you? Are you sensorily tired? Are you emotionally tired? Are you physically tired? Because each of those emotions would have a different treatment. Like if you're physically tired, then you would go and take some rest. If you're emotionally tired, then maybe we can do some calming activities. If you're sensorily tired, then you need to have like a break, a calming activity like yoga or something. Or he would actually, I would ask him like, what would you want to do? So it was kind of a step-by-step process. And I can share that emotions wheel. It's a document and a graphic, and I can share that after this call if you're interested in that. And I think it's available on the internet. I'll do a search and see. I think it's available on internet as well. It's called the emotions wheel, and it's the same concept. You just use pointing, the same RPM concept of pointing and kind of prompting him. Like I say, I see you're frustrated right now. So how are you feeling right now? And then, just prompt him to say, hey, I'm frustrated right now. So then go to the next level. If he's doing open communication, like, why are you frustrated? What is the trigger for your frustration?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Okay.
also we also have a pain scale for him. Like it's kind of like let me see if I have that. Actually, it'll be hard, but there's a pain scale. A lot of his behaviors were related to having some kind of pain. So that pain scale is like divided from 1 to 10, where like 0 is no pain, 1 to 2 is like mild pain, 3 to 5 is like medium, some kind of niggling pain, something like that. And we taught him to point to that also to so he can, it's just a visual. So when you're in pain, maybe you don't have the capacity to start writing out an essay, right, on RPM, because you're in pain and you're like, okay, my body is not working very well. So it's something easy where you can just point and say, okay, here I'm at a 2-4 or something today, I need some ibuprofen, I need Motrin. So just things like that. You can use a lot of visual tools to teach emotions, I feel. Bhagwashri, are you talking? Because I can't hear you. You might be on mute.
No, yeah, I just unmuted. That gives me a good idea. It's basically prompting to start with, and then
Mhm.
surely taking the prompt away. That would be so. Yeah, and I can start small with him because that is something that is being a thing with us right now. We see he's getting frustrated, but he's not able to say it. So um,
Yeah, yeah. Just prompt him to recognize the emotions. When you see the emotion, then
mhm.
prompt the emotions. Because I ask him, like, how are you feeling right now? Then he says, I'm hungry. So I'm like, "Okay, what do you need to do? If you're hungry, go home and eat." Then he's going to walk. I'm like, no, we don't walk when we are hungry. We go home and we get something to eat. Then we are less hungry, then we walk. So it's a constant prompting process. It's very hard for them to identify emotions accurately and figure out a plan on how to manage that emotion. And that's where a lot of the behaviors and frustration come from. So it's you have to prompt them to recognize firstly what the emotion is, being able to point to it, and then come up with action plan for each type of emotion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool. Thank you so much, Sherry.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sure.
yeah. I have a question. Like, did
Yeah.
you regulate happiness and excitement as well? Like, did you need to regulate that emotions as well?
Um, yeah, in some way, because happiness, if he's happy, sometimes he's too happy, right? Like he's flapping and he's too excited. Then after that, that excitement might also lead to a behavior, like, just go and pull somebody or touch somebody hard because he's too excited. So
Yeah.
it's always, yeah. So we I have tried to regulate that and say, okay, you're too excited. So what do we need to do to calm down? I'm glad to see you're happy and you're excited, and I'm really happy to see that. But can we just tone it down, calm it down, take a break, just go, like, leave this environment, take a walk, come back. Because that happens a lot in like social situations when you're too excited.
Yes.
And I know the next thing would be that he will have a behavior because he's too excited.
Yes. I mean, I'm facing the same thing with my daughter, and I'm telling her, but she gets really excited seeing some people, and people are coming and addressing her. She's getting very happy and excited.
Mhm.
Others also like it because she's young, but obviously I don't want that to carry forward. So, like, leaving that environment is the best solution you propose, is it?
Moving the environment, and the other one can be saying personal space. Like sometimes I just do a cross like this and say personal space, Rishi. Like he loves to go up to people, go up to their face, touch them, and that's not something that everybody likes to be
Yes.
touched. Some people do like it, and others are like kind of startled by it. So we have been teaching him the concept of personal space and saying that, hey, this is a personal space, this is how far you stay away from people. If you can't keep the personal space, then we have to leave and come back.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. So another thing that Soma talks a lot about is small movements. she says that small movements are very regulatory. A lot of movements that we do with our children are large movements, like swimming, running, walking, yoga, a lot of things, like, but she proposed that we do more small movements, like just fold a piece of paper and just write, like one letter or, a few letters. I know Rishi's writing is very weak, so it was really hard to do that with him, but now he has started writing a little bit more. So that's something I just wanted to mention, that small movements can be regulating. Because you think that maybe I'll go for a walk and walk like 2 miles and I'm very regulated, but your hands might still be out of control. And I'm trying to think of speech. As far as speech is concerned, I'll just show some pictures of Rishi. You'll see in a minute. He had huge low tone. His mouth was always open when he was a little child. So provided a lot of oral motor support, visual models to say a word. Like I will show him how exactly to say like, oh, he'll look at my mouth and then try to replicate that. And then slowly go to sentences. Paragraphs is still hard because of severe apraxia, but those are some of the techniques for speech. And of course, I talked about letter and word tennis, which is just start off small with like one letter at a time and make sure they don't get fatigued. Especially with children who have low motor tone and apraxia, it's very hard for them to even get out a letter, forget about, like a sentence. And then under typing, RPM, you can do paper choices, stencils, laminate, keyboard, iPad, whatever works. And I think there was a question somebody asked that said that, is it divided into modules? And I would say, no, it's not divided. I mean, Rishi never did a paper choice. He went straight to laminate board or like the stencil board because he did not do good in paper choices, and his visual attention is very low. So the best he did was on a keyboard because the keyboard is very compact and he doesn't have to look all over the place to find letters. Like if you do in a laminate board, the visual field is much bigger on a laminate board. So the best that worked for him was the keyboard, a small keyboard. And I have a video to show in a little bit, you can see, but so each child is different. Just, kind of play around and see what works the best for your child, and don't feel like you have to be limited by having to go step by step up. Any other questions on the slide, how to integrate RPM into your life? Okay, so move on to the next one. So I have a couple of videos here. I hope, let me move this thing up here. Let me know if you can't hear. So these are a couple of videos of Rishi. One is speaking and one is typing. I'll just play the speaking video first and then I'll explain. As a counselor, what do you need to be successful, Rishi? What skill do you need? Okay. Part. Empathy. Okay, good job. And when people go through a crisis, what skill do you think they need to bounce back? Is it micro skills or resilience? Which one? Right. See what? D. Resilience. Good job. As a counselor, what? Okay, so I just want to talk about this video. Like, as you can see, the resilience, that word, that's like a 5-syllable word, right? So he went syllable by syllable. So for a long time, he could not produce like more than a couple of syllable words. So he actually produced all the sounds in that syllable, one after the other. And I prompted him after he said Ray. I said, okay, Ray. I repeated that. And then he said Lee. Then he said Rezi. Then he said Lee. Liens. Lee and then so he get all the syllables of the word. And this is how he actually started answering questions in school and getting credit for it, because it is clear. I mean, if you give him a multiple choice, he can know exactly that, that he's giving the right answer and there's no question about it, like that somebody else is giving the answer for him or anything. So I will just play the other video and then we can ask any question. This is the typing part, the same thing. Rishi, what kind of skill does the counselor primarily needs, okay, to be successful at their job?
M P yeah
Hmm.
A H and Y. Okay, and what skills does, if a person is going through a crisis, what kind of skill do they need to bounce back from their crisis? Okay, what is the important skill that they need, Rishi? R E S I L I E N C and E. Resilience, okay. Those are the two words on the computer. Okay, any questions on the video?
Sherry, there was one question from a parent. Does Rishi still use the letterboard and typing, or he has moved from the letterboard entirely and he just types?
He just types because, like I said, the letterboard was not that efficient for him. You know, his visual attention is not good. Like Soma had mentioned to me long time back, and he had a really tough time reaching up high to like laminate board. You know, like he's like, okay, his arm is flagging and he has low motor tone. So this keyboard actually worked the best for him because it's really small and compact, and he doesn't have to move his arm a lot, to go places. So he just, you know, uh, that worked the best. And I think we started that fairly early, within a year, and we have been holding the letterboard for him like almost for last 6, 7 years. It's just last year and a half he has started typing with the letterboard being flat on the table, just propped up with a couple of books, so it's at a little angle for him to look better. But so it's only like I would say a year and a half or 2 years that he's been typing with it flat. Before that, we just hold it for him, just like you would hold a letterboard. Any thoughts on the speech? Just wanted to see what reactions you had on the speech, because just remember, this is a child that was completely nonverbal before they started RPM and could not even say like even any sounds and barely a few words. So main thing is the purposeful speech. Like, can they actually do a purposeful answer actual question that you're asking instead of just saying something arbitrary, right? That's coming out of their mouth or just the stimming on vocal speech, etc. So, and he will never talk like you and me do, but he's able to answer questions, and he actually talks a lot in daily life as well to communicate what he wants, how he feels, what he wants to do, etc., and answer a lot of academic questions, which is getting credit at public high school
This
as
gives me a
well.
lot. This gives me a lot of hope, Sherry. This is basically, it is so nice to see him talk. It gives me a lot of hope for my child, actually. So thank you for sharing this.
Yeah, definitely. And I just wanted everybody to know that never give up on speech. And this was expressed at the RPM conference as well. They said never give up on speech. So always keep on trying. And I never thought that Rishi could write because his writing was always terrible. But he has started writing a little bit too, thanks to Madhavi. Madhavi, you want to talk a little bit about writing or anything? Or any other, or typing? I just wanted to give you an opportunity if you wanted to share anything.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Like Shari said, it's a journey. When it comes to working with Rishi always wants to learn new things. So he's lot more interest, in finding out new things and how things work, and finally how it matters to him. That's one thing. And coming back to like what Sherry mentioned, if we are going to talk about writing, Rishi likes to do small moments. So, if I kind of, ask him to spell if I ask him to write the big word, so he kind of loses interest. So, but whereas if he has to do like, in a word, if he has to do 3 or 4 letters, so he finds it very comfortable to do. So that's one thing we can really, incorporate into our writing. Instead of expecting the child to write the whole word by themselves, I write one letter and then, I'm going to support you, and then you come up with the next letter. Then I'll write the next letter. So this kind of takes away stress from them, and it makes it very, engaging and fun, and it gives them confidence, and it gives them time to relax. Like when we take the responsibility of writing that particular letter, they kind of relax. They think like, they have nothing to do with that, and it makes them feel good. That's what I noticed with Rishi. So giving
Yeah, I think,
giving that
yeah.
pause while writing a word. So it really motivates them to write the next letter. That's what I
Yeah.
noticed.
And that's applicable to speech as well. Like that's why
Yes.
we talk about the word
Yes, even
tennis.
speech also, instead of asking them, but while working with Rishi, yes, I do make him spell some words completely by himself. But there are some words I take part also. I say like, okay, I will spell some. You also spell some. Let's do letter tennis. Like what we started in the beginning. Like Sherry said, letter tennis. It really works. It really works. It takes off the stress from them, and they also don't feel like we are questioning them, or we are testing them. So they will not get into that feeling. So once we take that part of stress from them and be there with them, so it makes them it gives them the confident environment for them to work on.
Yeah.
So
Building
these
the
two things
confidence.
really work, and I've been working with Rishi like almost 5 years. So this thing really worked with him. Not only with Rishi, I've seen this thing working with other kids as well. Giving them that pause. Okay, here we are only talking about a word here. So just imagine when we start doing a sentence. So, slowly, day by day, session after session, they'll build their confidence. Now, I have a 9-year-old that I'm working with. He loves to write sentences. So please try this. This definitely works.
Hi, Madhvi. I have one
Hi.
question here. My daughter is going to a regular school. I am her shadow teacher. So, I mean, I give one thumb pressure on her forearms and she's writing the examinations on her own. But from
That's
this, I
wonderful.
don't. Yes. But from here, I don't know how to, encourage her because the moment I stop giving her that touch, even sometimes pressure is not required, just a touch on the elbow is working for her. But the moment I
Okay.
stop touching her, she looks at me and she's like, nahi karenge. Means like, I'll not do. How to encourage her to totally start writing independently? She's writing one page answers and everything is there. Just that feeling of touch, how to eradicate this thing.
That's going to take some time. Slowly wean it off. Slow, it's not going to happen in one day, because like there's another boy that I work with. So now he's able to write a word, not a sentence, without me touching his hand. So what you do is, when she is writing, this is what I noticed in my experience, when your daughter is writing, just give that touch and gradually take it away. So without her feeling it, or maybe try moving it to the shoulder level, or try slowly move away, day by day, day by day, slowly move away from her hand. But make sure, you know don't let her lose the confidence, so that it has to be there. Let's say if you start off with a sentence and see how much she is able to write without you touching her. The moment you feel like she's not doing, again start giving that touch. It this also really works. It worked with the kids that I'm working with. So try doing that.
Yeah, and
So,
also
I
what
mean,
Soma says, yeah, emotional readiness, like that's what Soma talks about a lot, emotional readiness. So maybe your child is not emotionally ready right now to
Emotion,
let
yes.
Yeah, to let go of you. So, and it will slowly happen, like Madhavi said, like with over time and just little bit, like more independence day by day.
Oh, okay. So like no sensory intervention is required over here. Like, do I need to take it to some sensory therapist or something like that? Because she is epileptic, she has that tonal problem also. Hello.
I mean, we have tried a lot of, like with Rishi, we have tried so much of OT, physical therapy. I mean, we have tried every therapy in the book. Didn't really help so much. I mean, I think when he is ready, it's going to happen. You know, I mean, you can obviously try. I mean, as parents, we want to try everything possible to help our children, but a lot of it is emotional readiness. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, we'll
There's
try.
I
one
think
more
that,
thing I can suggest. There's one more thing I can suggest is making them carry a weight. Maybe a pound or less than a pound. It
Mhm.
gives that sense of feeling. That kind of connection to them. So that also builds up strength.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
trust
Thank
me,
you.
this also works. It's working with other kids. It will work with your daughter too. Try doing that.
Fingers crossed. Thank you so much.
I think Shrirupa had a question.
Yes, please. Actually, so you mentioned that he was open-ended within 3 months. So that time, I believe that he was on the full laminated board. So my question is, when you move on to the typing, do you start from the beginning, like the choices, and then go on to the semi-open-ended to open-ended? Because I'm really struggling there.
Yeah, so what I did was like we would just do like a shadow. So on like I give him a word and say, okay, spell it on your laminate board, and then we'll say spell the same thing on the keyboard. So he has that motor, pattern kind of memorized from the laminate board, and then he can replicate it on the keyboard like right away, and like right after you do it on the laminate board. Have you tried that shadowing?
Yeah, I'm doing that. He can do that, but he's not yet able to do that open-ended with the full QWERTY keyboard. So the process of the letterboards has to be applied there, right? Maybe I'm rushing in too much.
Yeah, I mean, there's no need to rush. If he is open-ended on the letterboard, then stay with the letterboard. There's no rush. I mean,
No, but
there are children that are even going to college that are still using the letterboard to do their college classes because that's what they like. That's what's most comfortable to them, and they just use a laminate board to communicate. So there is no hard and fast rule on what device you have to use.
thank you.
Yeah.
Quick
Okay. So
question. Thank you.
Madhavi
Can you
and
um,
any of you
increase
to answer this? There are two questions from parents. One is, how do I know if I'm testing the child or stimulating the child? So the child is probably having a demand avoidance diagnosis as well. So as soon as he knows that someone is trying to test his knowledge, he doesn't respond. So what can we do to, what can be a workaround for this?
why are we testing the child? I mean, we are not testing, right? Like it's if you look at Soma's philosophy, it's a partnership between the teacher and the student. And if the student is not performing properly, she says the ownership belongs to the teacher, not to the student. And I don't think they should feel that we are testing. It's like a partnership. Like you can say one word and have the child say another word. It's like you're working together to build a sentence, and you're not don't have that attitude that I'm trying to test. And secondly, presume competence. Like always presume that your child knows and he's smart. And if you have that, ingrained in you, you know that he really knows the answer, but he's struggling to just, express it. Then that attitude, I mean, the children, I think the student also senses that immediately that, that you believe in them and you understand their struggles and you're in a partnership together and you're trying to build a trust with them. So that feeling of testing doesn't come at all. Madhavi, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, here what I would like to add is if the child is struggling to spell, okay, so what worked for me is instead of saying, oh, we are finding it difficult to spell, Let's try to spell it together. Okay, I'll come with a letter, you come up with a letter. Let's try to spell the whole word. And let's say if the child spells by himself or herself, then we should give complete credit to them. Say, look at it, you did it. See, it's like if the child is wrong, it's like we are wrong. But if the child is right, you are right. See, I hope I made that very clear. If the child does something on their own, we give them complete credit. We are not going to say, oh, we did it together. No, you should say, you did it. But if
Yeah,
if we see a struggle, if they're finding it difficult to say, and we also pitch in and we spell this word together, then we say that. Okay, if the child, then we say like, okay, we had a difficulty and we overcame it. But if the child spells the whole word by themselves, we are not going to say we did it. We are going to say you did it. So
yeah,
it makes them feel very good.
Yeah.
It's like
And
we are
so
wrong, but you are right. So that really works. That really works. It gives them a lot of confidence.
That's great. Another question about spelling. So the child knows the word. Second or third time when he is asked to spell the same word in a different context, he just spells half the word and misses out some letters in between because he's in a rush to complete the word. So what do we do when such things happen?
So one strategy I have is that you have to slow him down, his body down, and you can do a visual reset. You can pull away. We had to do that with Rishi also a lot, and some other people I know. We have to pull away the letterboard or the keyboard, whatever, after every couple of words, and then reset it and bring it back again and say, okay, give me the first letter, second letter, pull it back, reset his vision, again, bring it back and say, okay, next, let's do the next two letters. And, and just that way, like just kind of slow him down a little bit, slow down the body. Okay, so I'm going to just go through this slide. I know we are just looking at the time also, because I have a bit to cover. So this is the building blocks of the journey. What I want to really stress is the wellness of the student is very, very important. You can't really work when your stomach is paining or you're not feeling well, etc. So just talk about, emotional well-being, taking breaks. We have taken a lot of breaks in our journey when he's not feeling well or emotionally overwhelmed or physically not feeling well. So taking breaks, physical well-being, treat any digestive issues, have a healthy diet with minimally processed food, which I think is a lot easier in India than it is here. Treat any food allergies, take regular movement breaks. These are all nonsense things, but I just wanted to mention how important. And spiritual well-being, if they enjoy exposed to spiritual books, seminars, how to live classes, and build a good support system of other mothers, teachers, practitioners, family members, community members, anybody that you can find. And also find any inclusion opportunities for them in temples, clubs, festivals, religious classes, writing workshops, I'm just mentioning the ones where Rishi found some support, but anything that, you can find, and also build a strong mentor group and peer group as well. Any questions on this slide? Just the building blocks of the RPM journey, the learning journey. Okay, then I'll move on. I just wanted to show some pictures of Rishi when before he started RPM. And while he was looking at this yesterday, he was looking at this and he said that it feels sad to him to see these pictures. And I said, okay, why? And he said that no, there was, no light of education at that point in his life. So he felt sad. And he looks sad also in these pictures, if you look at them. And then I wanted to show you the current pictures. So this is his, the top left hand is the Balvihar graduation, where he graduated from a class of 30 kids, all were typical peers, and he was the only, non-speaking, I would say, RPM special needs kid in there. So they all included him in all the classes. This is him at a walking club. This is him participating in my dance performance with the regular community. This is a volunteer opportunity that we did for to raise funds for Balashram in India, where he actually listened to a video of a child and wrote a story about her, which I presented at the walkathon. Here he is at the temple. He loves to go to the temple and get the blessings from the priest. And here he's working on college assignments, and at the bottom is his graduation, where we took some pictures at the beach on his graduation. So I hopefully you can see the difference between, where he was and where he is now. The awareness, the joy in life, the focus, and just the brightness in his face. I don't know. I mean, I can see it. So any thoughts of the before and after? Anybody can see. As a mother, obviously I'm biased, but I would love to hear some feedback on
No,
that.
we definitely see a difference, Sherry. There is a very nice eye contact that he's giving in the pictures later, and there is kind of a radiance on his face that we can see. Uh, and personally, because I've met Rishi also, I know how friendly he is, but uh, it can definitely be seen in the pictures too.
Yeah. And when I asked him yesterday, he said that the previous pictures looked sad, and the current pictures, he felt that they were more happy and he felt more satisfied with life. So I would encourage all of you to do that for your children.
Sherry, this is great. You can see the sense of fulfillment in these, pictures later. Like he has so much more confidence. I agree. He has more eye contact. He seems much more happier. So I have a quick question. So, um, how I know this as a mother, like you've done so much, but my son also is very social, and he wants to go hug and meet people all the time, and he loves music and dance. And I was wondering, like, how do you decide what activities a kid should pursue, what volunteer opportunities they should pursue? How do you decide that?
I'm sorry,
Because
can you,
resources
I think
now
you're breaking up.
are more available than before. So I wanted to know, how did you put your fingers on it and say, okay, this is what I want Rishi to do?
Okay, so you were breaking up quite a bit. So you're asking on how we identified what
Hello,
activities.
could you hear me? Could you hear me, Sherry?
Okay,
Hello?
I think I got the gist of the question. Bindu, let me know if I got it right.
Can you
I,
hear me?
it's kind of breaking up. Bindu, did you get the question properly?
Yeah, I think she's asking you how did you
Yes,
pick the
yes,
classes
that
and
was
how
my
these
question. Yes.
based on his interests or what he was motivated at. So how did you choose these for him?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about that in the next slide, okay? I have a slide on that. So I will just cover that because it will be easier when I have that. Let me go to that in just a minute. So this is just building on that thing, like build a healthy self-esteem for your child. I got rid of a lot of friends who were
Okay,
kind of,
thank
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I can't, I think you're cutting in and out. Did you have a question? I'll just answer your question in just a minute, okay? When I go to that slide on how to choose the interest. Okay, so I was talking about how to build healthy self-esteem. So how do we build a healthy self-esteem? Have a typical peer group, where he can feel like he's no less than others. Surround yourself with people who are positive and who are positive about your child and uplifting towards your child. Any of my friends who said anything disparaging about them, I pretty much got rid of them in my life. I said, I don't have time for you in my life, if you're not into my child and if you're not supportive of my child. So I built a new set of friends that I associated with and take him. I'm very selective about where I
Thank you. Thank you.
think somebody should go on mute. There's a little feedback on the channel. Okay, and and then we talked about, in Chinmay Mission, he won a lot of writing competitions, where he competed with other children, and then he won those writing competitions. So he kind of figured out that he's, you know, not only equal, but probably even better cognitively than all of these kids that he was working with. So that's him holding the prize for getting first prize for essay writing. So, Bindu, you had a question?
No, I was just clapping. That's all. No question.
Okay. Yeah, so I can't express how important it is to build healthy self-esteem in your child, and just continue always focus on that, on how they feel, how people feel around him, and surround him with people who really support him and who are very encouraging of him. Any questions on this slide before I move on to the next one? I also have the blog, Rishi's blog at the bottom. Please go to his blog and read some of the articles that he wrote, especially after he started RPM, where he talked about my story and how he felt after his life changed. I think that will be useful to read, and some of the advocacy that he has done, and also um, some of the writing competitions where he won first prize. They're kind of written from a unique perspective. Okay, next slide I have, it's called a community genogram. This is from Rishi's counseling class. They strongly encourage everyone to actually develop a diagram of their strengths and the weaknesses in their life. Like for Rishi, he built a community genogram where he talked about some of the difficulties in his life, which include microaggressions from school, prejudices from society, discrimination in public places, racism, and colorism. These are rejection from extended family. So these are some of the difficulties and some of the I would say the negative impacts on his life. And then how can we overcome that? Like strong parental support, great support from friends. He doesn't have siblings, but I just put that some people might have that. Dedicated teachers and practitioners, maybe an awesome personal trainer, um, supportive therapists, mentors, counselors, support from religious organizations, etc. So this is just a concept I had. I think it's important to identify for each student what their strengths and weaknesses are, and how they can, develop the resilience to overcome some of the negative impacts of disability or not being able to talk. Any thoughts on this slide?
Sherry, I've never given a thought on this one. Thank you so much, because this is something that I'm sure all the kids understand, all of them know. It's just that they don't know how to put it together. Even I think all the parents don't know how to put it together. Forget about the kids. So I would say this is something that we will do with Palash as the first thing tonight. Trying to understand what he is feeling about it.
Yeah, this is really important because as Rishi got older and he was suffering from like some aggressive behaviors during his puberty time, we had to take him for counseling. So he expressed a lot of things that were not right in his life, and a lot of those were hard to hear. They were very tough to hear, but we understood that this is the reality of life. And just living in the US, we have more complex issues to face, like racism and colorism as well. on top of everything else that they have with the disability and prejudices from society. So those are, just definitely be aware of those negative influences, but always try to see what you can do to counteract them with positive influences and support systems. Any other thoughts on this before we move on?
So Sherry, this is a great activity. So when do you think is a good time to start noticing all these with a child? What is the right age, and what's maybe the communication ability that a child should have to do some exercise like this?
I think we should, once they're doing open communication, we can try that. And this is actually something that Rishi can also facilitate as a practice counselor and as a counseling student. Like if your student is doing open communication and is emotionally ready to construct a genogram, that is something that you can have a call with Rishi, and he can ask these questions. It'll like he can ask work with the child to develop something like this. I mean, they have to be emotionally ready, of course, and be aware, of their emotions and what they're facing, and open communication. It's kind of hard to put that into multiple choice, and figure out. I mean, a lot of the things are similar for a lot of kids, but it might be different also, based on how they're feeling.
And in the slide, you mentioned a lot of community activities that he does, volunteering and hobbies. So how did that translate to handling his anxiety during his puberty years? Did it help him in any way that he was part of something purposeful and he was doing something meaningful?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like one thing you have to understand is that your interests and your activities kind of translates, and not only yours but the family interests and activities translate onto the child in a lot of situations. So like for example, I belong to the Kriya Yoga Institute. I'm a Kriya Yogi. So he got involved with this fundraiser because I was involved, so I got him involved. And I resumed dancing Bharatanatyam. I was a dancer, and then I stopped because of, all the things in my life. It was so overwhelming. And then I resumed again after like about 5 years back. And Rishi was so interested in Bharatanatyam. Like he has sat through every class I've had. Like he loves to watch and just be very supportive. He has been to all my performances. And one of the pictures was at a performance where he went, and he was watching me. So like a lot of combined activities started, like after we started this RPM journey, not only in academics, but our lives became very intertwined in even the interests also, like what interests I had, because I was very spiritual. He also had I realized he also had a very strong spiritual streak. And the favorite books I have, he started reading those, like, because I wanted him to read them. So he's like, yeah, I want to read. I want to read Autobiography of a Yogi. I want to see, I want to also know more. So things like that. So I think there's a lot of intersection between interests of the family and the child.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
Can I ask a question? How did
Sure.
you develop peer groups, and how did you, help him have a friend circle? Whether it's with special children or with neurotypicals.
There are a lot of activities going on in this community where there's an opportunity for that, but I saw that he has a strong preference to be with the mainstream community also. So the Balvihar classes helped him a lot, because Chinmaya Mission Atlanta, not only do they do the Balvihar classes where he learned about the Gita and participated, but they had social activities almost every month, like on every week almost. Like they celebrated all the festivals, they had puja, they had he really enjoyed going to that. They had the concerts, so he started going to that. So any opportunities you have in your community where they're supportive of special needs children, like maybe the temple or other, we might have Chinmaya Mission. I mean, Balvihar was very, very supportive. The teachers, they were, very super good to him. Like my Kriya Yoga group are like very supportive of him. Like, so I just had to like look and find the groups that in my life that I felt like would support him, and in the community. So I'm sure you'll find a lot of groups like that in your community in India, and in whichever city you're living in.
Ma'am, one more question regarding open communication.
Yeah.
I feel that you have done an amazing job. In 3 months. You were able to, get him to be open. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. What I want to ask you is, does it depend on how the teacher builds, I mean, like builds up the child's confidence, or is it the teacher guiding the child? Because I have really been struggling with open communication myself with my son, but with Soma, he was like flying. He was like writing poetry, which even today I have not fully, I don't fully understand it. But I
Mhm.
am as a parent really struggling to bring this out when with me. So I would like tips from you as to how can I help him to be open with me.
Open. Okay, so I think, like, like I said, 3 months is very fast. I mean, do not compare to that. He was really emotionally ready because he was so starved for not having education for so long, and he started also at a much later age at 12. So he was completely ready to start communicating, and as soon as he got the tool, he just jumped at it, and it was his own motivation, not just mine. So maybe your child is not that motivated, or I don't know exactly where they are emotionally if they're emotionally ready or not. But I think I would just start off slow. Like I think, like Madhavi mentioned, like start with like playing word tennis. Maybe you can start like letter tennis, word tennis. So you say
Yes,
one.
ma'am, we do all that. We do all that. He is open, but it's
Yeah.
something like if it's a word, for example, if it is you know, tense, I'm feeling tense or anxious. He will say T-Z-E-N, then O. So in he's actually spelling the word tense, but there are a lot of extra letters in it, or
Okay.
he will say something, so then he will say the word tense. So I mean, he is in his way trying, but I'm not being able, like, it was with Soma, it was like fluid, like, flowing. It was like a waterfall of words, but and it was so smooth. So I was like thinking, how can I've been seeing her videos again and again. I'm thinking, how can I replicate it, but I've not been able to unlock her, her secret, her method.
Yeah. Yeah, Madhavi, you have any thoughts on that? Because I
Okay.
know a lot of people
Okay.
do so much.
What I would like to say here is, I don't know, maybe just aim for succession instead of perfection. So, like, if he's tensed, it can be TENZ, because it's phonetically it's sounding right for him. So maybe he only wants to work that much with him. So we don't know. So I can only say just aim for succession, not for perfection. Like color can be COLOR, COLOUR, or even color can be KOLOR. So it can be,
Yes, ma'am, that
how
I
things.
understand, but I want
Yeah.
to go beyond, which I'm stuck. I don't know how to proceed. So any other tips you can give us?
Can you do a online session with Soma or something? I don't know. Are you located in
Yes,
US?
yes, I'm going to start doing all that. Yes, yes, I shall.
Yeah, I think when I get stuck, like I would just like call on a practitioner, like maybe have an online session with Soma, or I'll call Madhavi, like, because sometimes you get stuck with parents and you don't generalize. And a lot of times there's a mental block. It's like, okay, I don't want to talk to my mother, I want to talk to somebody else. So, and that happens to a lot of kids emotionally, or they just don't want to express a lot of things with their mother or their parents. So you can see if some other family member wants to, take up the letterboard with him, or you can do a session with Soma to kind of like break out of that block that you're in.
Yes, ma'am, we can try
I
that.
would, yeah. So I would just like to add something in yours. I've been working with my son for past 2 years, and I'm also struggling with open communication. But the other day, so we just had a trip to another city and came back. We visited family and came back. And the other day, I was talking with my cousin, and then I had my son use a letterboard to communicate with her, and he did really well communicating with her. It was one word answers, but he did a lot better with having a conversation than doing a lesson as far as open communication. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw it out there because sometimes it might depend on their interest or what they want to do at that point of time. Not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You have to look at your materials also to see if there's the subject matter you're using is something that he's interested in. Maybe try different things. Maybe try poetry. Try just play around with different things and see what he's interested in.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, so I think I have only one slide. Yeah, I have a couple of slides left. So I just wanted to focus on you, the communication partner. Please prioritize your own self-care. If you are not well yourself, mentally, physically, emotionally, you will not be able to help your child. So, and we all have been through phases where we are not, ourselves are burnt out or not in a good place. So please prioritize your own self-care. Yoga, exercise, meditation, hobbies, friends, take time off, do something purposeful, because your arousal level impacts the child a lot. So, get training and education, have social well-being, emotional well-being. So I cannot just stress that enough because there's so many mothers I've seen that are burnt out and still trying, to push their child and themselves harder and harder. And it's just got to take a break and take care of yourself. So any questions on this? Okay, and then I talk, this is what,
Sorry, ma'am, I have a question on that.
yeah.
How did you, I mean, I just listening to you, I see that you've done so much. How do you juggle? Like, what kind of a schedule did you have with your son and for your interests? And of course, you have to look after your family and, you have other, I think you were working also. So how did you manage all this? Could you just give a basic, like, schedule of your day?
So Rishi has always gone to public school, right? So that has really helped a lot, because during the day he's gone and I focus on my work. And I have just tried to make sure that I can find work in the right kind of job where I can work from home, work remote. I have prioritized those jobs where the pressure is somewhat less, and definitely refused promotions, when I had to. I got an offer from Google. After I left Facebook, I got an offer from Google where they said you have to come to office 3 days a week, and it's like an hour and a half drive to go to downtown from my work. And I refused it, and everybody was like, "Oh, who refuses offer from Google?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I did because that's important to me. The well-being, my own well-being, and my child's well-being is important to me. It's not that important to me to work in Google rather than, have a job where I can prioritize my own self-care." So I would just like say I've actually not worked more than half an hour, 45 minutes a day with him. Like after he comes back from school, take a break. Then I have a caregiver or my husband takes him out for a little bit. So in the evening when he's kind of rested, relaxed, I just work like half an hour a day. And then weekends we try to do more, like maybe an hour, broken up into 2 30-minute segments of actual work, or maybe a little bit more if he's ready for it. But that's pretty much how I've gone. I've never tried to push it too much, and he has been a very fast learner. So it's never, and I think all our kids are very smart and intelligent. You don't have to repeat a lot of things for them. Once you read it to them, they pretty much get it at the first go around. So it has not been a struggle. I would say it has been really fun because I just enjoyed the learning, like just learning with him and bonding with him. I would say our bond is much better right now because we have done so many things together and we enjoy learning together.
So, what hobbies does he pursue when you are not spending this one-on-one with him? Like I mean, in Soma teaches us to stitch and I mean read
Mhm.
magazines and stuff.
Yeah, so he has been, we just try to constantly feed his brain. Like he's an active kid, so he likes to go out and walk, go to the community, go to different stores, do some shopping, meet people. So he likes to get out of the house and do things. And as far as like activities, he's in a walking club on weekends with other neurotypical kids. Then he's reading audiobooks. He's doing some swimming as time allows. And what else is he doing? He's writing poetry in his free time whenever some inspiration comes. And he also does some workout with a personal trainer as his schedule allows. But actually, the school schedule is very hectic itself. Like he's still going to high school, a public high school, and they have a very hectic schedule of field trips, different activities, daily living skills, etc. So he's very busy. He's constantly busy, and I think that helps him to be occupied and reduce behaviors also.
Ma'am, when
Uh,
you said he's going to college, is it a physical college or it's online?
so far he's doing online because Arizona is quite far from here, but they had the best accommodation, so we decided to do that. But after he graduates from his high school, I mean, after he finishes his high school program, I will be probably taking him to the classroom here to some colleges here just to audit some classes or even get some transfer credits to get that experience of being in a classroom. But if you remember, he went to Balvihar for like 5 years, which was sitting in a class every Sunday and using the letterboard or keyboard to answer questions, participate in debates, to participate in discussions with 30 other typical kids. So that's a setting he's very used to doing, and he really enjoys that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So here, I was talking about the intersecting worlds. So I was talking about hobbies, values, work ethics, gifted areas, sports, spirituality, career goals, aspirations, self-esteem. Everything is linked. The family dynamics is very important. The communication partner, student, their siblings, mentors, community leaders, everybody's life is kind of linked together. So make sure that there's like a healthy dynamic going on. And I have at least seen that a lot of my interest translated to Rishi. So if you're looking for things that he might be interested in, look and see what your family is interested in, what the siblings are gifted at, or what your husband or your relatives, like what are you guys interested in, and see if your son or daughter is interested in the same thing. And then finally, I've listed Rishi's website. He's doing some practice sessions with children as his time allows, children or teens, and we can definitely schedule a call. He has very limited bandwidth, but once your child is ready, we can have a call and you can connect with him, and we can build a community genogram, look at strengths, weaknesses, building resilience, self-esteem, etc. So he's a counselor in training, but he's just, willing to help out people. And he's already done like 4 or 5 sessions with some of his friends, and they've really been very good and rewarding. So just wanted to keep that out there for future reference. So that's all my presentation. Any other questions? We have, I think, Bindu, we have 10 minutes left.
Yeah, yes.
Hey, Sherry, this is Bharani. I have one question. So Virat, I've been, like I said, I've been doing RPM for 4 years or, little more than that. Virat is open with me and all that. He enjoys working with me. But I've noticed the self-stimulatory behaviors like hand flapping, we do a little bit of scratching. So those come in the way, and then our focus is a bit lost. Did you have to deal with any of that? And how were you able to, let's say, the 10 minutes or 15 minutes that we are doing the lesson, let's control those or, somehow suppress those behaviors? Do you have any thoughts and ideas about that?
Yeah, I mean, Rishi has always struggled with behavior, so that has always been a struggle for us. Um, and I think, like I said, he went, I think I mentioned this, but he went for counseling for many years, and that helped him a lot to work through those emotions, being able to identify what those emotions are. And during the session, like if I start working with him and he's just hitting the computer or he's not into it, scratching or whatever, a lot of times I just let him take a break. Like I just say, like, just take 5 minutes, walk around. Or maybe let's go down to the basement and walk on the treadmill 5 minutes. Maybe he's not regulated enough. And then we come back and then we try to finish up. And if I'm still not successful, then I just give it a break and say, okay, we have to finish this homework. This is not the time. We'll do it after dinner. Like this is the last opportunity of the day. Otherwise, you're going to get a 0 on your assignment. And he's very motivated, to get A's. Like he has to get an A at any cost. I'm like, okay, you're going to get a 0, so let's come back after dinner and finish it. And most of the time, I've been able to like get it done. Like maybe a different time of the day when he's ready to learn better. I do that, and sometimes if it's a mild behavior like scratching or something like that, I'll just ignore it and redirect, and just keep going with the lesson and not give it attention. Do you know why he's doing those behaviors? Is it attention seeking or task avoidance?
So I think
Or
we have developed almost like an OCD pattern. I think that's what Soma thinks as well. So in the middle of a session, every 1 minute or 2 minutes, he has to kind of scratch his back. It has become like a pattern. I'm trying to see how I can break that, but it's almost like he's using his left hand to go to the right side and right hand. So that has become a pattern for him, and I I'm having a hard time to break that because that's coming in the way of him spelling or typing, and I have to continuously prompt him. Let's hold off on that and get back to our lesson, sort of thing.
yeah. Any ideas, Madhavi? I'm trying to think through different scenarios. I mean, Soma has all
Here,
this
what
stuff.
I want, yeah, here what I want to add to Virat's mom is try using hand weights. For hand flapping, try using hand weights. Like I mentioned previously, 1 pound weights. So let him carry that in his hand. While during the session, when you're working with him on the letterboard, try incorporating that thing. Let him carry some weight.
Okay.
So try it and see.
Okay.
It has to be a solid object, but make sure you support his hand. Don't just let it go. Otherwise, he would drop it, or he could get hurt. He could
Yeah.
hurt himself. So try doing hand weights.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try
Just
that.
keep it
Thanks.
next to them. When the moment you sense like he's going off, like his hand starts flapping, immediately put weight in his hand and let him lift it up and down. Try it and see. I did this with another child and it worked for me. The hand flapping came down.
Okay. Thanks,
That's
Mike.
why you have to do like this, like this, like this. All the time he would flap his hands. When he came to me, so he would just flap his hands all the time, So I felt like, maybe his hands were looking something. It just came out of my intuition, okay? Nobody told me. So I tried that. I tried 1 pound and slowly I moved him to 5 pounds. So when he holds 5 pounds, I put my hand underneath his hands and we both used to lift.
Okay.
So his hand flapping came down. Try that. Try it and see.
Yeah. Thank you.
That is a great idea, Madhavi. My
It
son also
worked. It
does
worked. It worked with the
very
child
nice.
that
Yeah,
I'm working right now. Try it and see. Because
sure.
I feel like, their hands are looking for something. They need that touch. They need that weight. They need
Yeah.
that connection.
Yeah.
So
One
try
more thing,
doing
like
that.
yeah, with my son, he does a lot of finger movements, and I try using self command. I will say, okay, till we finish spelling this word, try to keep your hand on table, and then let's finish spelling the word. And sometimes it works. He will finish spelling the word and come back to it, and then I have to say, okay, next word, let's try one more word, and we'll put the hand on the table. You can count to 10 seconds. Let's try. You can,
Yes.
because this is your way of expanding your skills. That's what we're doing all the time. And sometimes the self command really works.
And one more thing I try with these kids is I kind of, we sit and facing each other, and then I hold their hands and I say, so look at my face for a count of 5. Look at me for a count of 10. Look at me for a count of 15. Gradually that went to 30 to 40 to 45. So this develops their visual ability. The moment the child winks their eyes, I say, like, oh, we lost it. Let's do it again. So start with a count of 5, slowly take it to 10, 15, 20. I know it can go up to till 60 also. It works. And till I count that many numbers, I won't let the child move their hand or finger or eyes, nothing. And it's a small task for them to achieve also, because count of 5 is nothing, right? And slowly we can increase. Try doing that. It's very helpful.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I think we're almost at the end. Anything, Bindu, you want to close out? I think we're done.
Yeah, I think we got all the questions answered. There was one last question on how you helped Rishi ask questions. Like we keep asking them questions a lot. So if you want them to ask questions, because he went to a general ed class, and probably if he had some questions to ask the teacher, how did he initiate that? Did he use a letterboard, or did he type, or what did he do?
Yeah, so we with the speech therapist, we focus on him asking questions. Like anytime we have a Zoom call or something with the speech therapist, she'll say, "Hi Rishi, how are you?" And then I'll prompt him, or she will prompt him, like, "What do you say, Rishi?" Then he will ask back, "How are you, Miss So and so? How was your day?" So we just started like socially prompting him constantly to ask questions to people. It's a social conversation, and then anytime I read him like a passage or anything, any work from school, I always ask, "What questions do you have?" And then he'll type on the keyboard, or he'll start spelling it out, like he can spell out words, so he can say, what is the reason for this, or what is the reason for you. So kind of get into a habit of prompting to ask questions in a social setting. First, that's easier, and then in an academic session. And it's a constant process though to get that that motor planning and that habit of asking questions. So, but I think it'll definitely come with a lot of prompting, just like everything else with RPM.
Yeah, thank you, Sherrie. That's a great answer. Anyone else has any questions here?
Yes, Bindu, sorry, one last question. Ma'am, I mean, we can't use a letterboard in all situations. For example, they're in the pool, they're in this one, in the loo. So does he use any hand symbols, or, I mean, is there, with his speech, how
Yeah,
does he
he's
communicate
talking.
then?
He's just talking. Like when he went to middle school, when they took him to the general ed classes, he started feeling very conscious of carrying that letterboard with him, into the general ed. Nobody was using letterboard. So he started working very hard on his speech, so he doesn't have to carry that board along with him. And I think he was also bullied by children who talked to, who just made fun of him for, I don't know what exactly happened, but he told me that he doesn't want to use letterboard in school and he wants to talk. So he started working very hard to talk. So I think if I think you should just motivate your child to talk, like to use speech if they can, or writing, or any other output communication method that they have. Because it is true, like Soma also says that RPA, you can't just carry a letter board around everywhere, and that's why she's focusing so much on speech right now and converting that same skill of motor planning and just being able to say one letter or one word at a time into speech. So that's a big push at this time.
And ma'am, when you said speech, you said he had oromotor issues and you did not do anything like OPT, oral placement therapy or anything, and your son was severely apraxic. So I've seen Osoma just does like she just like does she just touches their chin or maybe their lips, and with that they were able to get speech sounds.
Well, I did go through, I put Rishi through myofunctional therapy for 7 years. So we worked with a myofunctional therapist where they worked on breathing, swallowing, and what else? They did a lot and actually taught him like the motor placement of his mouth and his tongue to make different sounds. I'm not sure how much that helped, but we went through that as well, along with RPM and extensive, speech, like just functional speech with speech therapists. So we did a lot of different therapies. Can't say what really helped the most, but I know for sure that the motor planning with RPM and just being able to um, say like playing the word letter tennis and the word tennis, I could see a gradual progression of speech from those techniques.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure.
I would like to say something. If anyone needs my contact, please get it from Sherry. I mean, if I can be of any help to any one of you, if you want to talk, please get my contact from Sherry.
Thank you,
Sure.
ma'am.
Thank you. Sherry, one last question. So you mentioned Rishi does like counseling for kids. Does the kid have to be an open communicator to work with Rishi, or how does it work?
I think open communication is better because we go through like a lot of feelings, you have to kind of understand where they are, what they're how they're feeling, what some of their problems are. So that's definitely going to be a big help. We tried one with one of our, I don't know if is Srishti on the call. We
No,
tried Srishti and her son from
okay.
Seattle with
Yes, I know
multiple.
Srishi. Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
multiple choice we tried. It went okay. I mean, we tried to do multiple choice, tried to guess what is in his mind, and come up
Yes.
with like choices and ask her son, like say, okay, so Sarah, like what are you feeling? A, B, C, or D? So that's a little harder, and we're not
Yeah.
sure if we're nailing it or not. But we can definitely try. We
Okay.
can try.
Yeah.
It'll be a little harder though, with the multiple choice because we are only limited to what we think he's feeling or he or she is feeling, but he's not able to express exactly how they're feeling or what they're
Right.
going through.
Right. Absolutely. I'll get in touch because my son is not open yet fully. We're working on it, but with the choices, he might be able to do a little bit. So we'll try it. I'll get in touch with you.
Sure.
Thank you.
He has very little time right now, but he really wants to help, and
Okay.
he clearly told that I want to live my life with purpose to help other kids, other children like me. So he definitely wants to help whenever he
That is
can.
wonderful. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you. This was very helpful.
Very welcome. Thank you all so much for spending your Sunday evening or morning, whatever it is. I really appreciate your time and everything. And just feel free to contact me if you have further questions along the way. And anytime if you're feeling discouraged or stuck and you want to give up, please don't. Keep going because there's a big payoff in the end. So.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sherry, for taking time and sharing your journey with us. And thank you, Madhavi, for coming on board and answering a lot of questions from parents.
Thanks.
It's my pleasure. I should thank Sherry for making me part of this thing.
Thanks,
Thank
Madhavi.
you,
You
sir.
have been a huge help with Rishi. So, and he really loves you and loves to work with you. So, we really appreciate your support because you can't do it all alone, right?
Yes.
Always rely on whoever you can around you to support.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Sherry.
Yeah. Thank you,
Thanks.
All the
Sherry.
best.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.